Now we continue with Steve Rattner, who, as we said, had worked for the Obama administration. Also joining us, Chris Edwards, Director of Tax Policy Studies at the Libertarian Cato Institute. Steve, let me first ask you, clearly the president understands the dire fiscal situation here. He put the Deficit Commission together. Why does he seem to balk at making cuts that would be necessary?
At the state level you're talking about?
No, I'm talking about right now at the national level with the budget that he put out for next year. He doesn't touch entitlements. I mean, you wrote an op-ed in the FT yesterday pointing out that he's only going after a tiny sliver of this budget.
Right, and the same exact thing could be said about the Republicans. What I wrote in that op-ed was that neither side is willing to take on the 88% of the budget where the real money is, entitlements, defense, and interest on the national debt. Everybody's focused on the 12% that is politically acceptable to cut. The problem is that the public polls say that the public wants deficits cut, they don't want taxes increased, and they don't want entitlements reduced. Well, that doesn't really add up. And until we reconcile the facts with the public's mood, it's very hard to make progress on this.
Chris, what do you say to that? I mean, I know that you agree that there need to be cuts. I've been looking at your website, downsizingthefederalgovernment.org, for a long time now, and you suggest massive cuts. But there clearly doesn't seem to be any public support for that, looking at what happened just at the state level here in Wisconsin.
I don't agree with that at all. If you go back to 1995, when the House Republicans also put forward a bunch of big spending cuts to very sensitive programs like Medicare, all those House members at the time, like Tom Coburn and Joe Scarborough, they were, pushed a lot of big cuts. The cuts didn't end up going through, but they were all reelected. All the hardliners were reelected in 96 and 98. So I don't agree with spending cuts are unpopular. I think President Obama missed a huge opportunity with his budget. It was a do-nothing budget. And here's the thing. All those independent voters who voted for him in November because they voted against him in November and switched to Republicans, who are concerned about the debt and all, Obama has just validated the switchover of all those independents to the Republican Party. Those independents are saying, look, President Obama's do nothing on this fiscal crisis, and so my vote for Republicans was the right one.
Although, hang on, that vote doesn't look like it has paid off either. The Republicans are also still only working on what Steve calls a sliver, 12% of the budget. I mean, they don't attack entitlements. Yeah. They don't attack defense spending. Why not?
Not yet. They're currently working on this year's so-called, continuing resolution discretionary spending bill. But House Budget Chair Paul Ryan will be proposing major entitlement reforms in his budget resolution in April. So, this is just the start. Hopefully they are just beginning here. It's true Republicans have to take on defense spending as well. And, when I hear Speaker Boehner, not being able to list a single spending cut, a single program he would cut, that's really problematic. And Boehner's really got to get with the program here. But I do have trust that Paul Ryan will drive this spending cut ship forward.
But Chris, what about entitlements? Entitlements are $1.5 billion, $1 trillion, of the budget. And the Republicans are talking about cutting maybe $100 billion from that 12% that Matt just referred to. When are the Republicans going to? There's no reason to wait till April. Why can't the Republicans tell us now what their view is about entitlements and how we're going to get that under control?
I agree. The sooner they start talking about the particular cuts, the better, because we do need to have a national dialogue on all these particular cuts. Republicans shouldn't wait until the last minute and spring it on the nation. But the usual way that the budget process works is, around April, the House and Senate budget committees propose entitlement changes. And so, that is the usual procedure in Congress. But, I agree. The sooner we start talking specifics, the better.
Steve, is this just a question of sort of negotiations behind closed doors, just like what we saw for the tax cut extension?
Absolutely. What's really going on here is that, frankly, neither side wants to go first because of the political consequences of touching entitlements. And what President Obama said when he realized that his budget maybe didn't go quite far enough is he started talking about this idea of a grand bargain, about the two sides getting together, as you say, behind closed doors and coming up with a deal and then lashing themselves together on it to avoid the public outcry that might occur. So, yeah, I think that is it, but I would not give that overwhelming chances of success. I would give it maybe a 25% chance of success. And frankly, absent that, this issue sits until 2013, until after the next presidential, which would be very unfortunate.